Welcome to episode 1 of my new campaign called Parallels. I'm your host and DM, Chev, and we got a lot of introductory stuff to go over today. But first, let's introduce our players so that you guys can get to know each of us independent from our characters. So first, let's just go around the table here, and we'll start with Cloak. Welcome. We got Cloaking Device, and you're playing Hank Anderson. Uh-oh, we lost
Yep.
Obi-Wan.
Hello.
Okay. And then also with us we have Obi-Wan McGregor. Hello. Uh-oh. Well, this
Who's
is
still
starting off
muted?
great. Yes, you are, but it's not a server mute or anything, so there's nothing I can do about it. It's a mute on your end, Obi. All right, well, we'll move on to Rainbow. Welcome, Rainbow.
Hello.
All right, I guess we'll figure out Obi-Wan later. You can at least hear me, right, Obi? I'm gonna wait for him to say yes just to make sure, because okay. All right, so let's go ahead, and the first thing I want to get out of the way is a few disclaimers. Okay, so first, this is our session 1, so it's going to be a little rough. So if those of you listening, or you've already experienced the first awkward moment of one of our players having technical issues, and there's probably going to be many more of those. So please bear that in mind as you listen. This is also our first time really using Encounter Plus for something serious. That's the app I'm using here to run a game. I really like it. It has tons of features. It lets me draw on my iPad with the pencil and everything, so I can quickly draw up maps to suit the situation. And I really like the fluidity of this whole thing. So far so good. We're just streaming it to the stream and to Discord. Our players don't have access to their tokens or anything, so you'll see me do a lot of this. I have this little magic wand. You can see the little particles on the map. That's how I'll point at stuff. I'll circle stuff, whatever. And then I'll move the tokens around for our players. Eventually, I hope to set up, there's a web server mode, and they'll be able to control their tokens. But for today, I wanted to keep it simple so that that's not a huge issue, but there's still potential for delays as I figure that out. So that's disclaimer number 1. Rainbow, can you please mute?
And I wanted to say something quick. If anyone knows any Android from the Counter Plus thing like products, let us know.
Okay. And then the second disclaimer is this is the first time we're really putting the Cortex system to work. This is not D&D, so that's one important thing I want to make. We talked about it in session 0 a bit, but this is not D&D. We're not using D&D rules. It's a system called Cortex Prime. I've kind of really fallen in love with it as I've learned about it because it really fits the way I like to tell stories. But because it's new and because we're getting used to it, there is definitely potential for more in-game delays with that as well. And then lastly, this is the first time with this specific group of players. So I haven't had Cloak in a campaign that I've DM'd yet, so I'm excited for that. And I don't think I've had. I don't know if Obi-Wan's in TOA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys have all played together before. It's just really the first
And
time
he
I've
also
DM'd for you
DMs that
guys.
one session.
Okay, yeah. So really, only Rainbow has experienced me DMing. So apologies in advance. Rainbow, can you please mute?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. The next thing I want to do is this is to you guys, to the players. I want to give you guys some encouragement and kind of just define the parameters for how Cortex is designed to work and how I plan to use it. Firstly, this is all about you guys helping me tell a story. So I really want you to try and get invested in the scene around you and just help build it. I know that 2 of you at least have aphantasia, so imagining things and stuff is a little difficult, but just do your best. To put yourself in your character's shoes, invest in the scene around you, and not just your character though. Like if you think that a scene is missing something or that should have something, and it would help you with your character, like I get up on a stool. You know, I didn't necessarily have to say there was a stool there. You can just invent the stool. If there's an issue with anything you try to invent while telling our story, I'll let you know. But just feel free to just embellish, add things to the scene. Like just and as we go over the rules here in a sec, you'll understand how that's even cooler than it sounds. But yeah, just anything you want to add to the scene. Like, how Bunsen a lot in some of our campaigns is always like, can we have this happen or that happen? Well, this is the system where absolutely, like, it's yes and is the kind of the improv motto. Like, you tell me something and I say yes and you add to it. We build on it from there. So we build the foundation and just keep adding to it. I will try not to say no unless I have a reason. So, uh-oh. Are you back? Okay. Obi, is your mic working yet? Nope, still muted. All right. Let me just double check and make sure. Yeah, it's not a server mute. It's a client mute. That's fine. If you have any other device that you can watch the stream on, the stream shows the same thing. You can go to twitch.tv/Chevcast or our YouTube channel or chevcast.tv, whatever. You could put it on a TV or something. Like, that works too. You don't really need to see a ton, but it would be nice if you could see the map. So you don't have to watch it through Discord, basically, is what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay, here I am.
Awesome.
I've at least got this. Alright, I'll pull it up. I was trying to switch the computer to see if I could view the stream through there, and then it wasn't letting me use the microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yeah, no, that's a problem with Discord. You can't view the stream in one and then be in the voice on another unless you have 2 accounts. If we need to pause for a minute so you can create 2 accounts, we can do that, but...
Well, no, I was trying to switch everything over to
Oh, I see.
Okay. How's my mic?
Computer, and the computer just didn't want to work the microphone in Chrome.
Your mic is much better now, Rainbow. I can actually hear you and not background sound.
I had to adjust the sensitivity. Let me know if that happens again.
Okay.
Okay. I have this thing up here.
Okay, are you guys ready to dive into the rules? This is going to be probably like 10-15 minutes of explaining and you guys asking questions and stuff and making sure we understand just the fundamentals.
What dice do I need? Go for it. I got physical dice that I have out. I just want to know what I need.
So use whatever dice roller you want. You can use an app on your phone, physical dice, whatever. We'll formalize this at some point, I think, because the web server thing has a little dice roller, and it'd be nice to have that all be on stream. But for today, we're just going to have you improvise. This game, Cortex, you're going to be rolling dice pools, and those are going to consist of multiple of, the same dice. So, like, multiple D6s, multiple D8s, etc., etc. So, I know if you're using physical dice, you might have to roll them multiple times, which could become a pain in this setup. So, if you have a digital dice roller where you can say roll 3d8s, that might be easier for you, but it's up to you. Okay.
So D8 and D6s is all we need?
No, those were just examples, Rainbow. We're using everything except for the D20 in this campaign. All right, let's dive into the rules. So, I just mentioned dice pools. So, dice pools are basically you pull dice from various traits about your character or various things going on in the scene or assets you have, and we'll go over each of these as we go through this document I put together here. But basically, in the end, you come up with a dice pool, usually 3 or more dice. Rainbow, we are still hearing background sound. There's like dishes clanking around or something.
Oh, sorry. That's the dog eating. I'm gonna just do that thing again. Get back to that thing.
All right. Okay, so you'll have a dice pool. When you roll a dice pool, you're going to take the top 2 dice. Well, it doesn't have to be the top 2, and I'll explain that later. Obviously, most of the time it's going to be the top 2 because you want the higher roll, the better usually. But that'll be your roll. So just as a quick example, let's say, Hank, you want to open a portcullis or something, you know, some big heavy door or something that maybe you could open, maybe not. We're iffy on it, so we're going to have it be a contest. What happens at that point is I will roll a difficulty pool as the GM so that we can decide the difficulty. And what's cool about this is there's no hidden GM rolls like D&D. There's no fudging. I will roll in front of you using this app, and you'll see the difficulty that you have to beat. And then you roll, and if you beat the difficulty, you succeed. It's pretty much that simple as far as tests. The only other type of roll in this is contests. And the only real difference there is that instead of the GM setting the difficulty, you set the difficulty as the person who initiates the contest, and then the other person has to beat you. And so let's say you challenge another player to an arm wrestle, and you roll to see how strong you perform in that contest. Then your opposition rolls. They can, as soon as you challenge them, they can refuse to arm wrestle you, so they can give in right away. And if they do, you win the contest if there's any results from that, or just the contest doesn't happen, whatever's relevant to the scenario. And the opposition can, so you can give in as the opposition, or they would, obviously, if they want to arm wrestle you, they would roll back. And then at that point, they've set a new difficulty, and you can either give in or roll back and forth. And so it continues until you either lose against the difficulty or you give in. So let's say you initiate the arm wrestle, you set the difficulty, your opponent rolls and they beat you, then you have the option to give in or roll again. If you beat them again, it goes back and forth. Or if you don't beat them, you lost the arm wrestle. Does that make sense? So, and I'll explain that as we get into, individual situations, but that's the basics of a contest. It's pretty straightforward. If you guys have questions, feel free to interrupt me. Don't hesitate to interrupt. Assets and complications. So when you are forming a dice pool, you're going to pull dice from your traits. You have those D8s for your distinctions. You have the dice that are for your relationships. If those are involved in whatever you're trying to do, all you have to do is justify it to me, and you can pull a die out of that relationship and use it in your pool. You'll also have your attributes at the top, and for session 2, I'm actually going to add a couple more trait sets for you guys to use to spice it up. But for today, I wanted to keep it super simple. And so you'll be able to use your whatever die ratings you have for your mental, physical, or social abilities. You can add that in there too. You can only add one die from one trait set. So the attributes are the mental, physical, social. You can only have one in there unless you spend a plot point, which we'll go over in a minute. And then you can add additional ones. But one die from each trait set to form the pool. So typically, you're probably going to have one from your attributes, one from your distinction, and then possibly one from your relationships. So 2 or 3 dice in your pool. Let's see. Assets. Okay, so assets and complications. Those are similar, except they're things that happen like in the scene. So let's say you pick up a plank of wood and you want to hit someone with it, and you want to use that as a weapon for the fight that you're currently in or something. You can pick up that piece of wood and you can spend a plot point and you can turn it into an asset, and it'll get assigned a D6 die rating. Now, every time you use that piece of wood, that D6 gets added to your pool. So you can do that. The plot points are the currency that you spend to manipulate stuff like that, to add stuff to help your character. I have to spend them as well in order to do certain things as the GM, like complications. So complications are basically the antithesis to assets. So like I'll say like you have a broken arm or something. And if I create a complication for you, I'll give it a rating, and then I will use that when in a opposition pool against you, or I might make it cause you to have some sort of handicap when you're rolling, stuff like that. I'll each of these. You don't have to remember all this as we go through every individual thing. It'll become clear. Eventually, it'll become muscle memory. But for now, I just wanted to explain them all from a high level. Stepping up or stepping down, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, our distinctions can work against us in some situations, right? Would that count as it being a complication, or is that a separate thing?
Yes, that
Like Gary
would.
has no nerd in
Yes.
some social situations that would definitely work against him.
Yes, exactly. I might have you step down, which is actually what I was just about to cover, stepping up and stepping down dice. So, like, I might say that your relationship to them makes this more difficult for you, so you need to step down the die to a D4 on this relationship or something like that. Now, on a D4, you have a higher chance of rolling a 1, and rolling a 1 is called a hitch. Which I'll explain that in a minute. I have that in the next section here. Yep. Okay. So if I say step up a die, it's a, if it's a D6, it goes up to an 8. If it's a D8, it goes up to a 10, 10 to 12, etc. And then stepping down is just the reverse. And that brings us to hitches and botches. So a hitch is when you roll a 1. It doesn't count towards your die total in the pool, but you get a plot point. So the bonus there is you get a plot point that you can bank and spend on other things. But a hitch is also a chance for me to activate it and turn it into a complication. So if you roll a 1 on something, I can create an ongoing complication for you for the scene. And that die. So I've read up on this. I imagine I'm still going to fumble when it gets into actual implementation. So we'll pause and figure it out if we have to. But basically, if you roll 1s, those are hitches. I can activate those. If I roll 1s, those are GM hitches, and you guys get opportunities. So you can spend a plot point. If I roll a 1, you could say, oh, I want to spend a plot point to step down a complication. You can take a complication and step it down. So you can step a D6 down to a D4. Once a complication is a D4, the next time it affects you, I'll have you take that D4 and include it in your pool. And as long as you don't get another hitch, you'll get rid of that complication. It gets rid of it. If there's already a D4 and it hasn't affected you yet, and you get to step down a complication, stepping down a D4 also eliminates the complication. A botch is when you roll all 1s in your pool. That's basically the critical fail in Cortex. So a botch will surely take you out of the scene unless you spend a plot point. You can spend a plot point to turn it into a complication, a simple complication, like it was just a hitch instead of a botch. Let's see. The player hitch can be used by the GM to create complication. I already went over that. Additional hitches in the same rule merely step up the complication. So if I spend a plot point to turn one of your hitches into a complication, if you have additional hitches in that roll, they just step up that complication. So it'll be a D6 complication, and then if you have another one, I'll step it up to a D8. Another one, I'll step it up to a D10, etc. Or I, as the GM, could spend multiple plot points and turn each hitch into a separate complication. Obviously, that costs me more resources, so that's a decision I have to make in the moment. Heroic success. So the opposite of a botch. If you have a heroic success, that's anytime you beat a test or a contest by 5 or more, that's a heroic success. So you'll step up the effect die for 1 for every 5 points you beat the difficulty by. And the effect dice is the next thing I'm going to talk about. Let's say you roll 3 dice in a pool. So you say 2 D6s and a D8. Let's say the D6s both come up 5 and 6, and the D8 comes up 2. Well, obviously, you don't want to include the D8 in your 2 dice total, so those D6s become your total, 5 and 6 for 11. And then the D8 becomes your effect die. And the total on the effect die doesn't matter. So the fact that it rolled a 2 doesn't matter. It's the size of the die that matters for the effect die. So if you roll a test to open up say a portcullis, like I said earlier, and you beat my difficulty, and then you have a leftover D8 effect die, then I might say that, well, this is a bad example because once the portcullis is open, it's just open. Let's say you're trying to create, let's say you're trying to listen for footsteps, okay, and it's really hard to hear in this corridor or something, and you end up with a D8 effect die on the contest. Well, the effect die is what I'll use to decide what you hear, how well you hear. Like, so yes, you might hear someone coming, but if your effect die is really high, I might be like, oh, and you know who it is, or something like that, as an example off the top of my head. or if you're creating something like a makeshift weapon, the quality of the weapon might be what the effect die affects. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. And then I'll step that up again. If you beat something by 10 points, that's just you step up that effect die by 2 times at that point instead of just once. Plot points. Okay, so plot points is the big one. It's the one I did not read up on properly enough last time for session 0. So I broke this up into 2 categories, earning them and spending them. So you guys all start off with single plot point. So go ahead and write that down somewhere. Use something to keep tally of it. You can have pennies on your desk, tally marks, whatever. You can use an app or just have some running total of how many plot points you have. Keep track of them.
Is it anything that keep track of his plot points?
Pretty much, yeah. There's not a lot else to keep track of other than which dice you have available to you to roll in your pools. And all of you start
what
with
about HP?
There's no HP, and we'll go over that. This is
Okay.
As we build this campaign. If that's something you guys want added in, there's all sorts of Cortex mods, and one of them is life points, and we can add those things in. But for session 1 here, I'm keeping it real simple. I'm not adding any mods in. I'm using the prime basic stuff. The only thing I've added in that isn't like super basic is the relationship ratings. But usually you have distinctions, attributes, and skills, and we don't even have skills. I replaced them with relationships for now. Skills is one I'll probably have you add before next time. But anyway, so you all start with a plot point. I start with a single plot point for each of the players in the game, so I'll start with 3. And then I have a bank of those that I can use with all my NPCs and stuff. My individual NPCs don't keep track of those. I just have like a bank of plot points. So basically, if I run out, I don't have unlimited plot points. So if I run out, I can't do extra things to hurt you, or I can't activate one of your hitches and turn it into a complication or anything like that, because that costs me plot points. I can earn additional plot points by stepping down traits. Actually, anyone can do that. I don't know why I said GM. So basically, let's say you want to one of your relationships, or excuse me, one of your distinctions comes into play in the role you're going to do. You can do what's called a hinder, and you can say, okay, I'm going to step this D8 down to a D4. And I think it's D4 specifically. Like when you step it down, it has to go down to the lowest one. There wasn't a lot of details on the hinder. I have questions. I'll have to tweet at the guy that made this. But anyway, he always mentions a D4, so that's what I'm going to assume for now. If you step something down to a D4, obviously your chance of rolling a hitch goes up. So it ends up being sort of a handicap to do that. But when you do that, you earn a plot point. So you can say, "Oh, I'm gonna handicap myself basically to earn myself a plot point in this particular situation." So that's another way to earn them. You earn 1 for every hit you roll. I told you that already. So every 1 you get doesn't count towards your total. So don't add 1 to your total, but you do get a plot point for it. And then giving in on a contest also earns you a plot point if you've already rolled in the contest. So if you do the arm wrestle and you turn down the arm wrestle straight away and you don't actually end up performing the contest, you don't get a plot point for that. But if you arm wrestle and you win one, and then your opponent beats you back, and it comes back around to you, and you decide to give up at that point, then you earn a plot point. So that's another way. I can hand out plot points at any point for good role play. So that's basically like giving someone inspiration in D&D. If a complication is stepped down to a D4, then the next time it affects you, you include the D4 in your dice pool. I think I mentioned that already, and you earn a plot point. I'm not sure if I mentioned that, but yeah, you earn a plot point. If you have to include that complication D4 in your roll, you get a plot point for it. And then provided there's no hitches from that, the DM uses provided there are no hitches that the DM uses to step up the complication is eliminated. Okay, yeah. So even if you do get a hitch, if I don't activate it and turn it into a complication or step up the existing complication that D4 represents, then it's still eliminated. So I would basically at that point have to try to spend a plot point to increase it if you roll the hitch. Last one for the earning plot points is if the GM spends a plot point to create a complication from a hitch, then the GM gives that plot point to the player that rolled the hitch. I don't know if that's in addition to you getting a plot point for rolling a hitch, but I'm going to say it is, just because that sounds fun. So if I decide to turn a hitch into a complication, I'll give you an extra plot point. Spending them. So here's some of the things you guys can spend the plot points on. You can add more traits from a trait set to a dice pool. So let's say that something is mental and physical. You could include both of those if you spend a plot point to add the extra one. Or all three if you want to spend 2 plot points. So you can include multiple dice from the same trait set if you spend those. You can activate opportunities. So that's when I roll a hitch. You can spend a plot point to activate that. And you can either step up an asset or step down a complication. You can spend a plot point to create a new temporary D6 relationship with a character you don't already have a relationship with. So let's say you meet someone, you can forge a new relationship with them. Obviously, when you spend these things, we're not just gonna be like, oh, you spent a plot point, now he likes you. You need to narrate for me. You need to describe in world why this makes sense. Because plot points are meta, right? But we want the story to make sense. So when you spend plot points, keep that in mind. The plot point is kind of your meta currency to affect the story from the meta perspective. But in story, you need to make it make sense narratively. So anytime you do that, keep that in mind. You can spend another plot point on a relationship. Hold on a second. Sorry, the pigs are being noisy. So I had to see what was happening behind me. Let's see. You can spend a second plot point to more solidify that relationship, make it more long term. You can have it last the entire session, or if it needs to be something that you think will be a permanent relationship with that character, we can talk about that. You can also spend plot points to include more dice in your rolls. So let's say you have a dice pool of 4 dice. Obviously, 2 of them are the total, like I said before, but you could spend plot point to add another one from that roll to the total, or spend 2 plot points to add all 4 of them to the total. You can spend a plot point to interfere in an ongoing contest. So if 2 people are having a contest over something, you can jump in and try and beat them both by spending a plot point. If you win, the other characters can each give you a plot point to continue the contest with you. So if you jump in and beat them both, they can give in, or they can come back at you by spending their own plot points to continue it with you. And then lastly, you can spend a plot point to stay in the fight when you'd otherwise be taken out of the scene. So let's say you roll a botch, and you're going to get knocked unconscious or otherwise basically taken out of the fight. You're not going to be able to do anything anymore. Then you can spend a plot point to mitigate that. Okay, so now that the word salad is all out, do you guys have any questions on all of that? It's okay if you don't remember it all.
Not off the top of my head.
Okay. All right. But for the most part, did everything I said make sense when you heard it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's pretty much it. It sounds complicated because we've never done it before, but really, it's actually quite simple. Hopefully, as we play, it'll just become second nature, just like D&D did when you first started playing that. Okay, that's it. I think we're like 10 minutes of explaining the rules, so let's go ahead and get to the setting introduction. All right, cool. The pigs are out and being fed by my wife, so this is perfect timing. All right. It's the 17th of April, 2021. The populace is finally starting to recover from a year-long pandemic, now that an effective vaccine has been developed and distributed. The previous year has been filled with dire news story after dire news story, from political and social issues across the globe to deadly pandemics and environmental distress. The particularly awful past couple years have resulted in a public distrust of authority. People are ripe with conspiracy theories, some true, many false. Social media has brought this global awareness to a head as the public reels from a constant barrage of terrible news and are made aware of just how many Oppressive facts exist about their daily lives that they used to ignore. Even scientific bodies that the majority of the public once trusted are now under scrutiny. Some justified, but most are just part of the inherent distrust the general public now holds due to a variety of influential factors. Suffice it to say, humanity's own prosperity hangs in the balance, as how the future will unfold remains in question. However, there is a twinkle of hope hanging in the minds of those who follow scientific advancements. Something going on at the LHC has the scientific community abuzz. Yet nobody seems to know the specifics. All that is known by the public at this point is that they are conducting an experiment in secret for the first time since the creation of the Large Hadron Collider. The rumor is that they are about to learn the secrets behind extra-dimensional energy, or EDE. Not long after confirming the existence of the Higgs boson, it was discovered that muons, electron-like particles, don't seem to behave according to expectations based on predictive math. Projections made for how a muon particle will behave are 98% accurate, but in particle physics, that 2% where it doesn't behave as expected is an enormous mystery. According to rumor, this mystery has opened the door for new facts about our reality at the smallest levels. Many theories abound about the potential of EDE, and rumors are rampant that they are about to learn how to siphon EDE, essentially drawing energy from other realities or universes. Many conspiracy theories abound, mostly put forth by those who don't fully understand the science. The lay population and media are concerned that the LHC is about to rip apart the fabric of our reality. But that's not really new, since they have been saying such things since the beginning of the LHC's first activation in 2008. Others with more understanding of EDE theories are more concerned with the ethical implications of trying to siphon extra-dimensional energy. Many multiverse theories include the idea that there are parallel universes, possibly even ones almost exactly like our own, but with small differences. This does mean that siphoning EDE could potentially be disastrous for another reality that contains life. Proper particle physicists dismiss the idea pretty much out of hand, though, because even if multiverse theories like those are accurate, the probability of another universe being inhabited are astronomically low, and it's practically a guarantee that EDE would be coming from universes that are nothing but chaotic energy with no life whatsoever. The truth about what is happening in particle physics is still a mystery while the experiment is ongoing, though they promise that all will be made clear upon completion, including why they have to keep hush-hush about the whole thing. In the meantime, we find ourselves in America. New York City, specifically. People are finally leaving their homes and apartments to go out in public as herd immunity to COVID-19 is on the rise. Though they are encouraged to continue wearing face masks to protect themselves and others. We travel downtown to... Oh, did we lose someone?
No, that was the join noise.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it was Rainbow joining on another account.
Okay. Let's see. People are finally leaving their homes to go out in public as herd immunity to COVID-19 is on the rise, though they are encouraged to continue wearing face masks to protect themselves and others. Oh, here we go. We travel downtown to find Hank Anderson, a blue-eyed, 6'2", middle-aged white male with shoulder-length gray hair in jeans and a zip-up hoodie. He's standing just outside a small but popular karaoke bar known as the Watering Hole. It's about mid-afternoon, and the weather is fair with a bit of a chilly breeze. Hank pulls open the door and steps inside. The interior is lit with blue and purple neon that flashes in correlation to the music being played over the speakers. Okay, this is the first opportunity. What music is being played over the speakers, Hank?
Billy Joel.
Billy Joel, okay. So as you step inside, a person can barely hear themselves think in a place like this, which is precisely what Hank is after right now. Upon entry, you immediately recognize your favorite patron to the bar on the mic, Dr. Jay Kinkle-Hugh. Jay is a renowned therapist who has dedicated his life to helping others sort through mental burdens of all kinds. Jay himself seems to have it all together. He has a fine taste for feminine fashion. Rainbow, what's going on? Let's see. Jay himself seems to have it all together. He has a fine taste for feminine fashion and prefers to don female clothing. He's not afraid to blur the gender lines that society would have him adhere to, and the people in his life admire him for being himself in the face of so much societal oppression. Jay has long braided blonde hair and a pentagram tattoo on the back of his right hand. It's rather early to be at a bar, so the place is almost empty. Only Jay and a few other patrons are present. 2 of them you recognize, Hank, from previous visits to the watering hole. A rather tall and masculine-looking guy with slightly wavy red hair and hazel green eyes, and a smattering of freckles that dot his otherwise fair skin. He's sitting at a booth across from his friend, who you often see him with. Obi-Wan, do you want to describe Chuck, your friend?
Chuck is a tad shorter than Gary, who is about 6'2". So Chuck is like maybe 5'10", but has a bit more bulk on him. He has very short brown hair, very dark brown, and sort of an olive skin tone. They're both rather nerdy, but in their dress, but Chuck is a lot more nerd chic and better put together looking.
Gotcha. Okay. So, Hank, you recognize both of them. You don't know them, but you recognize them. You've seen them in the bar before. You especially recognize Gary, though you don't know his name or Chuck's name. But you do know Jay. I don't know if you decided if you actually see Jay as a patient or not, but you do definitely recognize him from regular karaoke. As you walk in, basically, it's the world's your oyster now, Cloak. You can decide what Hank is doing there, why, who you want to talk to. There's a few other patrons in the bar, but not a ton.
So Hank walks in and gives Gary and Chuck a small nod, having recognized them from previous visits, and goes and takes a seat at the bar.
Okay. So let me just draw real quick. I forgot to draw the little bar stools. I'll just give you a few little bar stools here. We're doing this on the fly, so 1 second here.
Gary kind of starts for a moment, staring like a deer in headlights before returning the nod very hesitantly a moment.
Oh, okay. All right. So you make your way to the bar after having an awkward head nod exchange with Gary. And you take up a bar stool and you sit at the bar. And a very familiar face comes up to you. And it is Frank, the bar owner who also tends the bar. And he comes up to you and he just says, "Hank, how's it going?"
Oh, you know, Frank. Can I get the usual and whatever Jay wants for this excellent performance?
Of course. And he goes behind the counter and what does he get? What's the usual?
The usual is just a whiskey on the rocks.
Okay.
Or bourbon on the rocks, specifically.
Is that also the same for Jay? Jay, what's your usual?
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke. Okay, so he gets a whiskey on the rocks, rum and Coke. He sets him on the bar, gives you the whiskey, Hank, and he just says, "What brings you in here today, my friend?"
Same thing that brings me in every day, Frank. I've got some problems to drink away.
Don't we all? I'm afraid this bar might not be around much longer, sadly.
Well, I'll do what I can to keep you in business. And as Hank says that, he slides his card across the table to open a tab.
I always appreciate your business, Hank, but your money's no good here. And he slides the card back. This one's on the house. Nothing's going to save this place now. And then he holds up the rum and Coke and catches your eye, Jay, as you're on the stage. You just finish up belting out a Billy Joel song. Which Billy Joel song?
Let's say... Oh, is that for Jay or...
Either way.
Because that line Jones off my head. Oh, I was going to say, let's say doing Piano Man.
Okay.
All right.
You just finish up Piano Man, and you catch the bartender. You catch Frank's eye. You know Frank as well. And he's holding up a drink for you. Kind of beckoning you over.
I go over there.
Okay.
I go over.
All right. So you approach the bar and grab your rum and Coke, and Hank, you see him approach. Do you say anything to him?
Excellent rendition there, Jay. Always a pleasure to see you here performing.
Thank you very much. What brings you in here today?
Oh, same as usual. Got some problems. Gonna forget about them.
Yeah,
Is Hank the one I know, or is it Gary that I know?
you're Jay.
No, I said, is Hank the one I know, or Gary the one I know?
Oh,
I believe you know both.
Oh, I know both? Okay.
it's Hank.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
you
I don't know about
you
Gary either
recognized
specifically.
me from. I thought Gary was a patient,
Yes.
Okay, you
and
just
then
didn't
Hank
list.
is just.
You talked about that last time, but you didn't. Neither of you listed that on the relationship, so I didn't know for sure.
Oh, that was my bad. I should have done that.
No worries. You can still add it. I don't. It's totally fine. Okay. So yeah. So you do I think you know Hank and Gary. It's just that Hank and Gary don't really know each other.
Okay.
They're just acquaintances basically. Like they just see each other at the bar. But Frank behind the counter, he leans over and he just says, "This one's on the house, Jay. I don't think we're going to be around here much longer. The watering hole can't keep up with the expenses."
That's a shame. Nothing to be done about it?
Not that I can see. I don't see a way out of it. It's just the pandemic. It's really hurt us. No one wants to come in here anymore. It's slowly picking up pace now, but there are other places people would rather go, and truth be told, I'm kind of getting tired.
Well, I mean, the vaccine just came out, so maybe things will pick up.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how things go over the next few weeks. That's
If
probably
you're
all we
tired of
got
this place,
left.
maybe if you're tired of this place, maybe you can sell it to someone if it picks up.
I thought about that, but you have to have some value to sell something. I'm not sure this place has much value to those who aren't regulars like yourself.
I think it might pick up after this vaccine comes out.
Maybe so. I know that my son, he's getting his vaccination tomorrow. Pretty happy about that. I got mine last month.
Um, at the mention of a son, Hank just takes a really big gulp of bourbon.
Okay.
Yeah, I got mine last week.
That's awesome. I'm glad you guys are taking this seriously. So many people don't. I've had to kick so many people out of here. The few patrons I get, and I have to send them on their way because they're assholes. Bunch of idiots. I don't understand why people can't just follow the science.
Well, I'm not sure scientists know everything.
Nobody said scientists know everything, did they?
I'll forget what I said. I'm just bitter,
I understand. In fact, you know what? Fuck it. And he pours himself a shot of rum and he shoots it. Doesn't even chase it. He's just like, I'm going to join you boys. By the way, Jay, as always, your outfit's on point.
Well, thank you. I like yours as well.
Hank looks down at his like stained t-shirt. And he's just like,
Oh, I thought he was like
thanks.
I thought he was in a suit.
Okay, we'll say he's in a suit. That's fine. I want you to be able to. I was picturing him just like kind of just as a slob, but no, you know what? We'll say he is a downtown bar, so.
Like one of those 30s bartenders with like the suspenders and the dress shirt. And
Yeah,
slacks.
there you go. Perfect. And then he looks over and he sees you, Gary. He sees you and Chuck, and he looks at you, Hank, and Jay, and he just says, "I'll be right back." And he pours a couple more drinks. What's your usual, Gary?
Gary gets basically Chuck decides. Chuck makes Gary get beer. Gary would much rather have one of those fruity sweet drinks that actually taste good, but he goes along with Chuck saying he should drink beer.
Okay. Then he brings over a couple beers and pops
They're
the tops
having a
off.
very animated conversation. No, they misrepresented him in that entire character arc. They just took 40 years of character development and just threw it out the window. And then he sort of looks up and sees the bartender and he just quiets down immediately and he kind of shrinks into himself. This 6 foot tall Ichabod Crane looking 20-year-old trying to make himself look very small. Yes, sir?
Oh, come on, Gary. You've been here enough. Can't you just let loose a little bit? You're so tense. Here, I brought you your favorite. He gives you a beer.
Thank you.
No problem. How's it going, Chuck? Do you want to play Chuck? Or do you want me
I can do it for the moment so you don't have to talk to yourself.
to? Sure.
Because I know that can be awkward. Oh, hey. What was his name again? Frank?
Frank, yeah.
Oh, hey, Frank. Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Just having a bit of a discussion. How's it going for you tonight?
It's been better, but I can't complain. I think that things could have ended worse. We only probably got a couple weeks left in this place, so these are on the house, by the way.
Oh, that's too bad, man. I'm sorry to see the place go. Right by our dorm, too. Dang.
Yeah, shit happens. Stuff changes. You know how it goes. I'm just glad to have made some good acquaintances like yourselves. So have a good time. Hope you enjoy it. Maybe things will pick up. Maybe we'll be surprised. And then he leaves to go back to the
You
bar.
never know what's gonna happen.
He nods at that before he walks away. All right.
So while
Go ahead.
Frank is over speaking with Gary and Chuck,
Mhm.
Hank's gonna kind of lean over to Jay, and so we should concoct a plan to save this place.
Yes, maybe some kind of like college party or something.
That might do. There's a couple college kids back that way. Well, they look like college kids anyway. You think they'd know anything?
Well, I work at the college too, so we could go talk to them as well, I guess.
As you guys are finishing up that conversation, Frank shows up steps behind the bar again. And as Frank steps behind the bar, he starts washing some glasses. And Hank, suddenly, you have to go to the bathroom. You've drank a lot already, and it's already hitting you. So you're feeling the need, and the bathrooms are over here. Let's see here. Get the pencil. So we'll put like a little M right here, men and women bathrooms. Do you get up and go?
Yeah. So I'm gonna stand up at the bar stool. Well, gotta break the seal. Pour me another for when I'm back, huh, Frank?
Oh, you bet. All right. So as you head to the bathroom, you notice that they are distinctly male and female restrooms, and the one right here closest to the bar is the male one. You go in?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So while Hank is in there taking care of business, Jay, you spot one of the. There's only a handful of other people here, just kind of staggered around the tables and booths. But you catch a glimpse of a hairdo that you recognize of a woman, and she is. I'm just gonna draw. Let's do pink here. We'll just draw a little circle. She's sitting over here. Can you see that?
Yeah.
She's sitting at a booth, and you can see her hair over the top of Gary and Chuck as you're looking that way, and you recognize her, and you realize it's one of your patients.
Is it me or is he low body?
Me?
I'm getting a little bit of that too.
Really? It's even for you, Cloak?
No, not for me.
I think it's both your crappy internet then, I guess. Am I still robot?
I think he broke. No, it broke off.
No,
Okay.
you're good now.
Okay. Anyway, so you recognize her. You recognize it's a patient, and you've never really seen her in here before, so you're surprised to see her at the watering hole. Do you
I
go
guess
say
I'll
hi
walk.
or anything, or do you just ignore?
Yeah, I'll go say. I'll
Okay.
go say hi to her.
Okay. So you walk over here to say hi, and she looks up at you and she just goes, "Jack, I'm here to stop a robbery."
Oh, I know who this is. Well, why do you think there's gonna be a robbery here?
I have a sense, I have a sense for these things. I know these things. I think just my being here will stop it. So if this place doesn't get robbed tonight, you're welcome.
Oh, well, thank you, I guess.
Yeah, make sure you tell everyone. Tell everyone the mad puppy saved you.
All right. Well, try not to drink too much.
Oh, don't worry. Don't worry. I won't. By the way, what's her real name? Because she's got it. Something's wrong with her. She thinks she's a superhero. I'll just get that out of the way. Called the Mad Puppy. This is a character Rainbow came up with.
I
So I need to know her real
I
name.
thought I had it in the notes. Is it not in the notes?
I don't think so. I'll double check.
Or am I putting the notes real fast?
Let's see.
Let's just call her Lucy.
Lucy. Okay. All right. So Lucy is convinced that she's over there stopping something bad from happening, and you're a little concerned because she's not supposed to be out and about as one of your. She's one of your higher profile patients. She requires a lot of care from you, and she's got a lot of delusions going on, and so for her to be out in public without someone to assist her is kind of worrisome. And plus, it looks like she may not be taking her medication.
I'm gonna use the phone and call the office.
Okay. All right, then you're gonna come back to the bar here, and you ask Hank to use the phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Excuse me, Frank. And Frank says, "Oh, sure, of course. Come back here." And he escorts you behind the bar to the wall where there's an old school wired cord phone on the wall.
I'm gonna call the office and see if I can't get anyone.
Okay. And while you're doing that, Hank, you finish up and you come out of the bathroom. And just as this happens, all three of you feel kind of funny. Like a tingle across your skin. Not something like super, like it's not going to make you jump out of your seat or anything, but it's like, Hank, for you, it's almost like, damn, like that alcohol must be really hitting you hard already. Jay, it's kind of like a tingle goes down your spine, and you're just kind of like you probably assume that it's because you're worried. You just have like this intuition that something's wrong with Lucy, and you need to get her some help. And then Gary, you don't know quite what to make of this feeling, but something just feels
Maybe thinks
off.
he's having a panic attack.
Yeah,
for a second.
that sounds like it would fit his character. Sure, yeah, you think you're having a panic attack for a minute. But it passes pretty quickly.
Oh, Chuck, I think. Oh, okay, we're fine. We're fine. Never mind. False alarm. False alarm.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so Hank, you just exit the bathroom. You see that Jay is on the phone behind the bar, and Frank is at the bar. Do you do anything? Do you look around? Like, does this feeling prompt you to do anything specific, or do you just go back to the bar and drink more?
So I just kind of like shiver a little bit, and then stop and think about it, and then just like stop and briefly think, but then just return to my seat at the bar.
Okay. Do you look around at all? Do you turn around, or do you just go straight to the bar?
Yeah, like I'd stop and maybe do like a quick 360 and just kind of look around.
Okay. So as you do, something catches your eye. You turn around and you notice the bathroom no longer has labels on it. The bathrooms are now not labeled. They just say restroom on a central sign about like right here. It just says restrooms.
That's. Hey, Frank. Frank,
Yeah?
weren't your bathrooms labeled?
Think you've had a little too much, buddy. They are labeled. It's right there. See? Restrooms.
No, I mean, like they were gendered before, yeah?
What? Why?
Well, that's weird.
Come on over
Maybe
here
I
and
have
I'll,
had
I'll
too
make
much to
you.
drink.
I'll get you some water. How about that? Water and how about some chicken strips and some French fries?
Well, if you insist.
All right. For you, this one will be on the house. And so you come back to your seat, and he goes into the back here and goes off to make some food off in the kitchen. And Jay, you finish up your phone call, and while you were on the call, you basically they just told you to just make sure that she's okay, make sure that there's nothing, that she's not doing anything besides just sitting there at the bar, and that that they just assure you that there's not really much you can do. She's an adult, she's not under your care. Like you don't have control over what she does with her life. She's in your care as far as being a patient, but that's it. And so you're concerned. You alerted them, and they're on standby if anything happens. But for now, there's really not much you can do. You can't force her to do anything. Do you
Right. I probably would have requested like maybe an aide to come sit with her and
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's fine. Let's say that's exactly what happens. You request an aide, and one of your office aides gets in her car and heads to drive down. We'll call her Adrian. She gets in her car, she heads down, and it takes about 15 minutes to get there. So she's not there yet, but that's what's happening after you hang up the phone.
I believe a psychiatrist can request a psychiatric eval to basically check if they're a danger to themselves or others, but I think it would probably have to wait till office hours if my own experiences line up.
I definitely
The only way.
I definitely wouldn't have gone that route. I just wanted an aide to sit with her, make sure she didn't like get too drunk and hurt herself.
Okay. Cool. Do you do anything in the meantime?
I'm gonna go see Greg.
You're gonna go see what?
Do I know about his friend? What's his like? I'm gonna go talk to Greg. Do I know about his friend? What's his name? Chris?
Gary,
Chuck.
you mean?
And
Chuck?
Gary.
Chuck.
Yes.
Yeah. Do I know about Chuck?
Greg and Chris.
I mean, I did have a friend in college named Chris, so several actually. They all went by last names.
You can correct me if
But do I
I'm
know
wrong,
about
Obi, but I think he would know Chuck because the only time you ever come to the bar is with Chuck, right?
Right, and he would probably have heard about Chuck.
Okay. Yeah, so you walk up there and you see Gary and Chuck sitting at the booth. Gary kind of sinking into his seat a little bit, thinking he was having a panic attack.
Hello, Gary. How you doing tonight?
Oh, hello, Dr. Hugh. I think I'm okay. I thought I was having a problem, but it went quick. so I think I'm fine.
Well, that's good. You're not overdoing it, are you?
No, no, sir. I have my medication if I need it. It's right here in my jacket. I have it.
Oh, nice. You should get up on stage sometime and sing sometime. You might like it.
Uh, uh, maybe we'll see later.
Have fun, you two. I'm gonna go back to see Hank.
Okay, so you don't go back to Lucy?
I keep an eye on her, but
Okay. All right, so you go take a seat at the bar next to Hank.
I probably would have sit above Hank so I can keep an eye on her. I don't know if that's a wall or something
Okay.
that's in my way to the right.
Just kind of have the right angle.
Yeah, just right there, like right above Hank.
Right here?
Yeah, so I can see
Ah,
my
okay.
patient a little
I
better.
see what you're saying. Cool. So that you can see across this way.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. So yeah, you can see Lucy over there, but something catches your eye as you look back to check on her. You notice her hair's different. She looks slightly different. She might have done something. Maybe she undid her hair. It was in pigtails before, by the way.
What's it now?
Now it's kind of I don't know women's hairstyles, but it's more done up, more like almost like she's been at a salon.
I mean, I probably would have noticed the difference if I noticed the difference because I'm really into fashion.
Yeah, that's kind of why I figure you would notice that.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, Hank, that's weird that my patient's hairstyle just changed
Hank, you
before
turn
sitting down
around and
here.
for the first time you notice this woman sitting at the table down at the end of the row there, and something looks familiar about her to you, Hank. And for a moment, you think it's Kara. It looks just like Kara. Her hair, everything.
And so Hank's gonna like come to a complete halt and drop the glass of water that's in his hand.
Okay. Do you drop it on the table? Does it spill?
I drop it on the bar, but like in such a way that it does spill, but it doesn't break.
Okay. All right. So Frank hears this and he comes out and he said, "Everything okay?"
Sorry about that mess, Frank. Give me a towel, I'll clean it up.
I don't
I
know.
thought I
Worries. I
saw
got it. I
Kara for
got
a
it. And he
second.
grabs a towel from behind the bar and starts wiping it up. You okay, old Hank? Old buddy?
Well, I'm not sure. This has been a weird night, Frank.
Oh, really? Why's that?
First I've got these phantom memories of your bar, and then I look over to the side and I could swear I saw my wife, Frank, but you know that's not possible.
Yeah, I know about your wife and your son. It's unfortunate, but that woman over there, that who you're talking about? And he points over at Lucy.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, that's Lucy. She's a regular. She's definitely not Kara, though. I can assure you of that.
Oh,
As she
and
comes around
have I
here a
gotten a
lot.
better look at her at this point and like I realize that it's not her?
No,
Or do I
you'd
still
have to kind
kinda-
of go around. She's sitting facing this way, so you'd have to go over there to really see. All you can see is the back of her
Okay.
head. So you got that, like, you know, when you see someone from behind, you think for sure you know who it is, and then you're wrong.
Well, I trust your judgment on this one, Frank.
You say a regular, Frank. Is she coming here often? That often?
I was in here all the time. You know that.
I never seen her here before. Does she drink too much?
She has a couple drinks and sings a little karaoke and then leaves. She's got a little girl she has to take care of.
Would I have known does she have a little girl?
No, she does not, as far as you're aware.
Okay.
She is definitely, as far as you're concerned, Lucy is very much. She's very far gone mentally. Lots of issues, lots of delusional ideas in her head, and she does not have a family. She lives in a studio apartment that's subsidized by all sorts of social programs and stuff because she needs a lot of help.
Hmm. Well, she's a patient of mine. She never mentioned anything about children.
Oh, she is? I didn't know that.
Well, I can't get into it too much, but yeah.
Well, that's fair. I understand. Doctor-patient confidentiality. But yeah, she's been coming here a long time. Hopefully she keeps coming for a long time in the future.
That is if you don't close down, like you said.
What do you mean? Close
You
down?
just told us both that you're yeah, you said that both me and Hank here that might have to shut down
Well,
just a little bit ago.
water cooler's doing better than ever now that the mask mandate's lifted and people can come out here and enjoy themselves.
Oh, well, that's weird. That's not what you were saying earlier.
Does it seem like there's more
this-
people?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Does it seem like there's more people in here than there were before?
No, it's roughly about the same number of people. It's still mid-afternoon, so it's still kind of early for a bar.
Okay.
So Hank's gonna stand up from his bar stool and excuse me for a second, Frank, and just kind of motion to Jay to come over to one of the booths that's back there.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
so?
like Jay, wasn't this place called the Watering Hole, not the Water Cooler?
Yeah, I think you're right.
And I know Frank said he was going to have to shut down because I asked you about a plan and you brought up that college party.
Oh, yeah, you're right. We're not losing it or anything. We're not drinking too much because I remember that too.
Something weird's going on here, Jay.
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know what to tell you, but I don't know how to figure this out.
Everything all right there,
I
Hank?
bet it has
You
something.
need me to call someone? He shouts across from the bar.
Everything's fine, Frank. Just had to talk a little business, that's all.
All right. Just get me if you need me. And he goes back in the back, continues making your food. And then he comes out, sets it on the table, and then he goes back again. So you now have your
Thanks,
food.
Frank.
Of course. Anytime.
So what's the food?
And it's I think chicken strips and french fries was what it
Yeah.
was.
I would have
God.
pegged Hank as a Philly cheesesteak man.
Well,
Yeah, I was
Hank
asking.
didn't
Well,
order.
yeah,
Hank
Frank
didn't
just
order. Frank just like
offered.
was like, I'm making you something.
Yeah, I was just asking because I just want to know if it changed or anything.
Okay,
Oh
so
yeah, that's a good question. Is the food something different?
no,
Well, no, because it was after
it was after
the chicken strips thing was after I walked out of the bathroom. So
Okay.
I bet this has something to do with those damn scientists.
So as you say that,
Well, I highly doubt that.
someone comes walking in the door, and Rainbow, you recognize this as your aide, Adrian, and she walks in and she looks around, and she sees you there, and she leans over to you, and she just says, "I'm here, Jay. I came as fast as I could. It's unusual for you to call when you're out of the office, so it must be important."
Oh, thank you very much. She's right down there. I point to her.
Okay, and she
I need you to
sees
keep an eye on her.
her across the way. Okay, and which patient is this?
This is Lucy, the mad puppy.
The what?
You remember Lucy, the mad puppy, the one who thinks she's a superhero.
I must not be aware of this patient. That's fine. Let me go sit with her. And so she heads over there and sits with her. She sits down, and you can't really hear what they're saying, but you hear some conversation happening over there. And after just like probably about 30 seconds, the Lucy stands up and she's just like, I don't know who you are. And I just came here to enjoy some peace, and I'm not really interested in you, and I don't know what this is about. And then your aide just stands up also and then looks back at you. And then Lucy follows her gaze, your aide's gaze, back to you. And so now they're both looking at you. Do you go over there at all?
Yeah, I'll go over there and see what's going on.
Okay. So you go over there. And you get a good look at Lucy, and she looks put together. She looks almost as put together as you are. She's got a fashionable outfit going on. She loves the color pink. Her hair's done up. She looks like she's ready to just enjoy a night at the bar. And she just says, "Can I help
hello,
you?
Lucy.
Why am I being accosted by people? I just want some peace and quiet. I've had a long day at work."
Well, you are my patient. You're one of my patients, aren't you, Lucy, the mad puppy? I whispered.
The mad what? I'm Lucy, but I'm not your patient.
Oh, I'm sorry. You just must look exactly like her then.
I guess. Can I go now? Can I enjoy my food?
Yeah, just enjoy your food. I'll talk to the bartender and put it on my tab. I'm sorry for the confusion.
All right.
I look at my and I go, I'm sorry about bringing you down here for nothing. I thought that was my patient.
She sits back down, and then you and your aide come back over here, and she just says, "So, false alarm then, I guess, Jay?"
Yeah, I would guess. I could have sworn that was Lucy the Mad Hatter. I mean, Mad Puppy.
I thought it would. I thought that something bad was happening. I didn't know what was going on. I'm glad it was just a false alarm. All right, I'm gonna go home then. I came here straight from the office, but it's close to off time. So is it all right if I just go home a little bit early, since I'm closer?
Is she working tomorrow?
Uh,
Would I know that?
let's see. Today is Saturday, so no.
She'll be working Monday.
Yes, she'll be working Monday.
I said,
That's
you know
I
what?
know.
Why don't you take Monday off and just enjoy Monday as well,
Oh, well, thank you.
pay time as well.
Oh, wow, awesome. Jay, I love working for you. And she leaves, gets back in her car, and goes.
I talked to Frank about putting that woman's bill on my tab before I sit down with Hank.
Okay. And Frank comes to the bar and he just says, "You're going to pay for Lucy's drink, huh? What happened over there?
Yeah.
It looked like there was a commotion."
Well, I thought she was my patient, but turns out she isn't.
Oh, okay. Well, no problem. Sure. I'll put her on your tab.
That's it. Thanks, and I head back to Hank.
Okay. All right. So
Well,
you
I
sit
don't
back
know,
down
Hank.
next to me.
I mean, she told me she was her patient earlier, then now she's not. She looks different. I don't know what's going on.
And Gary, because of the way Jay is angled and right there, you're able to hear a lot of the conversation that's happening between Jay and Hank, but you're not getting Hank's part of it very well. So your interest is definitely
Mad Puppy
peaked.
sounds very similar to Mad Dog. I think DC might get them for copyright.
Hank's gonna lean over to Jay and, did you happen to catch a glimpse of those two kids that were at that one booth? Do they still look the same, or do they look different like the other people?
Does Chuck look different?
No.
Yeah,
Neither does
Gary would
Gary.
notice that right away.
They both look the same to me then.
Yes. Yeah, they look the
Uh,
same.
so they look the same to me, Hank.
Well, maybe we should go talk to them and see if the weird stuff's happening to them too.
So before that happens, while
All
this
right.
conversation's going on, Gary, you and Chuck are talking, and you start talking about comic book stuff again. And Chuck's demeanor has seemed to change, and he looks rather concerned. He looks almost anxious, and he just says, we've been here for a little bit. We've had conversation. Can we go now, Gary?"
Oh, yeah, I would love it. Yeah, sure. Let's head back to the dorm.
Okay. And he's like, "Thank
I
God."
thought you'd never ask. Wait,
And,
why do you? It was your idea to come here.
it was
Are you okay?
You're the one who drugged me here. You know me. I never want to go to these things.
No, I hate these things. You had to
Me
make
too.
me go.
Then why'd you make me go?
Yeah. No, I did it. You made me go. You've been making me go to tons of things over the past 2 years. You made me go first to the drafts. That turned out okay.
Are you
made me
are
go
you
to the
punking me?
con, that was-
Is it not bad enough that you have to drag me out into public when I don't want to be? Are you making fun of me? Like, you do this to
What
me
are you
all the
doing,
time, and now
dude?
you're trying to flip it around?
What are you talking about, dude? I'm confused and concerned. Did I
Let's
do
just-
something wrong? Are you mad at me?
Let's just go. I don't know what's going on here. Let's just go home.
Okay, but yeah, let's just go back to the dorm and let's watch Full Metal Alchemist again.
I love Full Metal
Hey,
Alchemist.
Gary, why don't you come down and sit with us?
Was he? Sorry, did he say Gary at the beginning? I lost it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna thank you, Dr. Hugh, but we were just gonna head back home now. We're fine. We've had enough.
Before you go, have you noticed anything change?
He kind of glances over at Chuck, looks extremely nervous. I'm not quite sure what you mean, Dr. Hugh.
Oh, like the restroom sign changing, or
And Chuck
that woman,
looks-
across
Chuck
the bar
looks at
changing?
you both, and he's just like, "Wait, you see Dr. Hugh too?"
Oh, I didn't know you saw Dr. Hugh.
Of course I see
Yeah, my
Dr.
dad
Hugh.
makes
I
me
have
go.
I have major anxiety issues to work through.
What? I need to head home, Dr. Hugh. We're gonna go back. I'll my appointment's next week. I'll see you then.
All right.
Okay, so you guys go to leave then?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, Gary is a feared.
All right. So let's leave you and Chuck. You head to the car. We'll come back to you in a moment. Hank and Jay, do you guys say anything else? What's going on over in your booth now?
Let's go outside and just look around the parking lot and see if you see anything that's different. Just as an experiment.
That sounds like a plan.
Okay. So you guys go outside, and do you say anything to Frank before you leave?
Frank, what do I owe you?
You don't owe me a thing, man. It was on the house. We're doing great. I can afford it.
All right, bud. Well, I might see you later tonight. If not, I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow.
Sounds good, man. Get some rest. All right, so you guys leave out into the parking lot, and the very first thing you notice, which is super distinctive, is the sign. It used to be a sign that had a little like pond in the middle of a desert with a bunch of animals around it, the watering hole. And now it is very clearly a water cooler with bubbles coming up in it. It's one of those neon signs, and the bubbles float up through the tank by lighting up the bubbles, like the neon lights that make up the bubbles kind of light in succession. You can picture that.
Mhm.
and it says the
Yeah.
water cooler.
Well, that's weird that the sign
Now
never
I
used to be
know
like
that
that.
ain't right. Um, you there's got to be one of us that has pictures of this place, right?
I don't know if I do. I check my phone, do I?
No, you wouldn't. You don't have pictures of it like on your phone, but I mean, you could look it up on like Street View or something.
I'll look it up on Street View.
Okay. So you navigate to Google and you find first try to search the watering hole, but you don't find it. So you search the water cooler, you find it, and you pull it up, and it's got a bunch of pictures from other patrons and stuff that are all there, and it's definitely the water cooler. Always has been.
Well, it just shows on the website as the water code. I don't know what to do because you tell anyone this, and I'm a psychiatrist. You'd probably be sending someone that's just like me. Me too.
Okay,
I know something's happened, but
So,
This
Gary,
has got to have something to do with those damn scientists.
you guys get to the car. What kind of car do you and Chuck drive? Did you share a car? Did you Uber?
Probably share a car. Probably something Gary's dad got for him. Something probably generic and utilitarian. Or
Okay.
maybe he might have gone a little fancy, but Gary would not want fancy. Yeah, that
is
would
it the
work. Let's go
thing?
with fancier than Gary is comfortable having. Just because his dad does not understand him.
Okay.
Are you sure you don't want to have like the VW, the thing, Volkswagen, the thing?
Okay, so like how
What?
fancy? Like Corvette, Ferrari, like a
Let's go
Tesla,
Corvette. Let's go
Corvette.
Corvette.
Okay.
Yeah, he would like a Tesla.
Okay. So there's a you were expecting to find a Corvette in the parking lot, and instead you find a Tesla. And Chuck goes to get into the passenger seat.
Gary looks at his head. Gary takes the keys out of his hand, out of his pocket. What do they match?